Everyone, welcome to the City of Frankfort Board of Commissioners October work session. Today is October 9th. It's 5 p.m. and I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Unger.
Present.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Present.
Commissioner May.
Present.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Present. And we'll normally ceremonial and recognition. Or anything tonight, Commissioner Waldridge?
I do. I just want to say thank you to all the staff that helped KSU have a very successful homecoming. It was a week early, or a couple of weeks early. Usually we're in October. But just thank you for getting Byron and his guys over there getting the trash cans out to be able to help do that. To Blair and her staff and the Frankfort Plant Board for helping get up the banners that we purchased last year, and a few more were added this year to recognize some notable alumni. So we want to thank you to all of those staff that help with pulling up the gates and putting down the gates, and all of our police staff for the parade. Everything was a hitch. This city, and I speak for myself definitely, but I believe every single commissioner, mayor, and everyone sitting here and in our city supports Kentucky State University. We know that the university is Frankfort University, and I just want to make very clear to this community that we love Kentucky State. We're going to continue to work on our relationship with Kentucky State. And at our Founders Day convocation, where the mayor did show, they invited the mayor to speak on our behalf, and also some other officials from Lexington. And I want to be very clear that Lexington officials did not whatsoever pick up where we left off. We have done great things with Kentucky State University, and we will continue to do great things with Kentucky State University and the new president. And we will continue to be that #1 spot for them for homecoming. This is the home of Kentucky State University, and we are not ever going to negate anything that we've ever done from Kentucky State. So just know we love Kentucky State no matter what was said and things that were occurred. This board, as far as I'm concerned, has been supportive in anything that I've done as far as International Town Gown Association, starting Kentucky State. We have full support of this board in front of you now that supports Kentucky State University. So we wanted to say thank you, and just wanted to add, because people called me, and I appreciate you showing up at our Founders Day convocation and speaking on behalf of the city and being present. And I am sorry that officials from Lexington came and spoke after you and said the things they said, because I don't know, I probably would have stood up, you know? So maybe it's a good thing I didn't make it in time. But just know that we love Kentucky State and super excited to see what's before us in our growth. My other thing is, what a great event Bourbon on the Banks was. I'm not sure how many of you guys got to go down to Bourbon on Banks, but it was an amazing event. It continues to grow every year. Super excited about all the volunteers that came out. Diane Strong leading with the Bourbon Society, all those volunteers. It just turned out to be a great day, great weather. I met people from all over the United States, it seems like. They were excited to be there. They're already looking forward to next year. So I'm super excited about that, and just meeting some new people in our community. And we had a couple of great laughs. But just thank you to all the staff that helped make that here at the City of Frankfort, as well as all the volunteers. So super excited and cannot wait till next year. So great job.
And thank you. Any other ceremonial or recognition involving the city? If not, we'll move on to citizens' comments. And we have a special guest tonight, Senator Jay Williams. If you want to come up and approach the podium, if you wouldn't mind stating your name for those who may not know you, but we hope everyone does. And we'll give you 5 minutes, and we may have some questions, but we'll see how it goes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Senator Jay Williams. You all may have seen the signs, GEX. It is Jay, only in Kentucky. But I am here because of the success of the Frankfort Plant Board and Internet, the great job that they have done in building an outstanding service that has great value to the city. Without that, we wouldn't be here. But my question to the council is, and I think we're going to have this discussion in the months ahead, is who actually owns the Frankfort Internet? Is it the city, or is it the plant board? You know, who controls it? Is it your home rule powers, or is it a legislative entity that was created back in 1942 and amended several times? I did an opinion piece earlier on, and I'm from the technology industry. I got an MSE. I've been in the computer technology, wireless internet business for longer than I want to admit, but at least 40 years. And it's a lot like riding a surfboard, or surfing contests where the first thing you do is you see a wave coming, you pick a good wave, you get up and you ride it. And the main thing about technology is you have to know how to cash out or how to kick out of that wave before it hits the beach. Because you're getting up on the beach without any water and it's a long way back. And we're at the point right now where the plant board is a very valuable asset, I do believe. 10, 20 years down the road, it is not going to be such a valuable asset because you've got 12 competitors right now from what we see in the county. And you have the 5G is just coming out. And the 5G is going to overbuild your core. And I'm not talking about the water or the electric service, okay? You're authorized under KRS 96.171 through 96.188. You are the only plant board authorized by that statute. Maybe because when the city authorized that statute, essentially they gave up control over the money, the resources, no way to get the money back out of it. And there's at least a dozen other cities that are doing internet now, a lot that do water, sewer, electric. None of them have chosen to use that statute that's been around since like 1940s or early 50s. It's been amended a couple times. So the technologies at play today weren't even conceivable when this started out. Unlike water and electric, and again, I'm here mainly to talk about technology, not the water and electric side of it, but some people have talked about water and electric. Nobody's going to put in competitive water pipes or competitive telephone poles with electric. But you got a lot of people that are going to put in competitive internet services, competitive cable services, and the dozen are just the beginning. And most of those are a lot better capitalized than you can ever hope to be, or the plant board can ever hope to be. It's not service quality and costs that are my point. It's that the electric and water are different lines of business from internet business. And what I hope that we can do is take this valuable asset that is Frankfort Plant Board Internet, that is a valuable asset today, and convert it to a valuable asset that can be used for the plant, for Frankfort's grandchildren, our great-grandchildren will have something in terms of a riverfront development, city development. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars and likely much more than that. And if we can convert that to that asset, our children and grandchildren really aren't going to care what internet service the city is providing. There's going to have lots of internet service, okay? And the quality is going to be way better than what we have today.
1 minute.
But, okay? But this is a little bit fraught. I got friends at the plant board that may not ever vote for me again, but it's not about them, okay? And it's not about the quality of the work, but it's about the city's ability to capitalize on an asset that has proven to be of great value in the past to the city, and if moved to another asset, can be a great value in the future. In the technology business, you normally don't make your money off the operating revenue. You make your money off the capital increase in capital value. And to do that, you got to know when to cash out. And so I'm just thinking that we need to have a conversation about 96.171 and 1.188 and talk about how the city of Frankfort can recover its home rule quality and can capitalize on this valuable asset that is from this time forward going to do nothing but depreciate, regardless of what a quality job they're doing.
That's time.
Thank you.
You've done this before.
I don't know.
Anybody have questions? How about Commissioner Thompson for Senator Williams?
Senator, thank you for being here tonight. My initial question is looking over KRS section 96.171 and 172. I see nothing in the entire chapter actually that talks about telecom and internet falling under this section, and that's probably because when this was created in 1946, that would have been like 1984 kind of stuff, right? But I guess my question is there any case law or is there any precedent to show that a municipally, or formerly municipal power plant, water plant that also does telephone and electric has fallen under this particular section?
This, to my knowledge, and from the League of Cities, is the only plant board that operates under this section. So where any other case law for any other organization, I don't think that would apply, because this is the only plant board that operates under this section right now. I don't think there's ever been another one that has done that. So I don't believe there's any case law. And you're right, there is nothing in this section that authorizes them to do cable or internet. And I'm not, we're not going back and second guessing them. We're saying, where do we go from here? It was a good thing they did what they did, but where do we go from here?
Any other discussion or questions?
May I ask
Sure.
when was the decision made with regard to falling under this particular chapter?
If I recall, it was back in the 1950s, 40s. I mean, it was a very long time ago. The statutes were specifically crafted. This is before special legislation was prohibited by the legislature. They were specifically crafted for the city of Frankfort. And the senator's correct that no other city in Kentucky operates under these statutes. And there is almost no case law or AG opinions related to these statutes. I mean, I want to say two.
So cities like Berea and Paducah, who have a municipal plant board, if you will, they just haven't used this particular.
No one else has ever decided to use this particular statutory scheme.
And have we given up authority over the plant board?
No, we're in compliance with.
And I'm not saying that we're not in compliance. I guess my question is, like, I mean, they control all their own funds and they control their budget, and they go to the Public Service Commission if they ever have any tariffs they have to have. But we all we do is the mayor can appoint some people to the board, right?
That's basically correct. I think we have maybe one or two ordinances on the books that may deal with light bulbs. And a couple other things like that. We have very little in our ordinances off the top of my head. Very, very little in our
But
ordinances.
we did just pass the ordinance related to the franchises for internet providers, correct?
Yes, we did, not too long ago.
Okay, thank you.
And then any other questions for Senator Williams? And I guess my question would be, so right now, other providers could come into the market, correct?
Correct.
But because of the plant board's presence, is that, I guess why haven't they? If
Well, other providers are coming into the market, and in particular, the wireless providers are going to overbuild the plant board. AT&T is going to overbuild the plant board. And so their percent of penetration into the Frankfort core area is going to decrease over a period of time due to wireless and AT&T fiber coming in, and they can offer different deals. So again, this is just going to happen. The wireless this device is a preference of the next generation. This device connects to wireless, not to Wi-Fi, or not to your home computer. And so that's, if anything, the habits of the next generation are changing the competition, and the plant board's not in this 5G wireless business. It would be very, very, very expensive for them to try to compete in that business. They don't have the assets to do it. So I would like to make a point here. The other, so my understanding is the other municipalities, when they authorize how the money is retained or spent, they do that by ordinance. So they can direct them to do this by ordinance, they can give it to them by ordinance, or they can take it away by ordinance. When you authorize this, you now cannot by ordinance return the money to the city coffers, is what the plant board is saying. And when I read the statute, I think that's the case. And I simply think we probably need to modify it so that by ordinance, you can make the decision of continuing with the plant board internet as it is, or capitalizing, cashing out, taking the valuable resources that it can provide and investing it in another asset that's going to grow over the next decades for the city.
Understand?
Questions?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very
See
much.
again.
Looking forward to talking to you all in the
Yep,
future.
welcome back.
Okay, thank you.
Our next citizens comment, we have Kathy Lindsay from the Frankfort Plant Board. Welcome, if you want to state your name.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lindsay. I'm Director of Communications for the Frankfort Plant Board. And I'm just here to invite you guys to our Customer Appreciation Day, which is Friday, October 13th. We are celebrating 80 years of community service to Frankfort. We've been around for 80 years. Our telecom department celebrated 70 years last year. So we have had that many years of community service here in our community. Friday, we'll be having our ceremony from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're inviting all of our customers who are our customer owners. If there's any question of who owns all of our services, are our ratepayers. They're our customers because we are a municipal utility, public utility. We don't answer to any shareholders. We answer to our ratepayers. So that means you own us, everybody watching owns us. Everybody's invited. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have giveaways. We're giving away light bulbs. We do these leak protection tablets for our toilets. We have water bottles. Froggy's going to be there with some entertainment. We're going to have a program at 12:30. We're going to talk about the importance of having a public utility here in our community and why it is a valuable asset here in our community. Senator Williams is very correct in that, and it's one that our city should value and take that very, very seriously because it's very important to our community members. That's really all I wanted to do is tell you all about that and invite all of you to come. We are inviting, again, all of our citizens, all of you guys. We hope the fiscal court is able to come as well. It's going to be a great day, and we hope to see all of you there.
Thank you, Kathy. And no other citizens' comments, so we'll move into staff reports.
First in staff reports, we have Chief Johnny Carpenter and Fire Marshal Matt Marshall to discuss the baby boxes.
Good evening. So this is Chief Johnny Carpenter, Fire Marshal Marshall. We're here to talk to you about getting a safe haven baby box tonight. Marshall's got all the details on it, so I'll go ahead and hand it over to him. But before I do that, I'll tell you how we got here. We've had Safe Infant Acts in Kentucky since 2002, but it's always required a face-to-face interaction at a fire station. In 2021, Governor Beshear passed a law that lets you use safe baby devices, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
How are y'all? So, Fire Marshal Marshall, most of you know me. Do I get to click? Yep. Yeah, I do.
Maybe.
So, what is a safe haven baby box? The boxes are installed on the interior walls of hospitals, public safety buildings. That would be the fire station itself. That allows the newborns to be placed inside that device. It locks them inside of it. It triggers a silent alarm. Also, it's an alarm inside the station itself that notifies not only the station staff, but dispatch, 911. It notifies both that just in case we're out on a run or anything like that. It notifies dispatch to allow all personnel that a baby has been dropped in the box. Then the device at the safe haven boxes are meant to give distressed parents a safe place to drop off their newborns while remaining anonymous and preventing an illegal abandonment of newborns. That way, this gives those parents that are stressed or in distress to drop a baby off in a safe environment. This is a video just to kind of show about 2003 surrenders in Kentucky taking place in Louisville. Let's see if we can click on it and play it. Thank you, sir. in Kentucky in 2023. Babies were dropped.
Is that, oh, I was like, is that the recording? Good job, good job. You've watched it several times.
What are we supposed to be seeing now then?
Here it comes.
It's college sports.
Somebody was watching the Yale game.
Oh, what?
We're on video, Marshall.
Are you becoming a sport person?
It's gonna happen, I can feel it.
I think it's just an advertisement before.
Yeah, it's gonna make you watch that.
Snowing now.
College sport.
Sorry. So you gotta hit the mute, unmute button.
He's turning up the volume on the TV. It's on a 4. Here we go.
This is gonna be live.
Baby box, and this was the first surrendering and the first time to happen in Louisville. The baby was left with the Okolona Fire Department just yesterday. Alexis Jones today spoke with the founder of Safe Haven Baby Boxes today, and she shares her reaction.
It's a safe haven for newborns with nowhere else to go.
You see these stories all the time of babies being found deceased and just thrown away like trash, and it's sad.
Monica Kelsey created baby boxes to allow parents to safely surrender their babies without judgment. The first one in Kentucky was installed in June 2021 outside the main bay of Oklahoma
Fire Station. Now fast forward to Tuesday.
Object present in baby box.
Firefighters welcomed Louisville's first baby.
The program that they worked so hard to put in place back in 2021 has finally brought a blessing to them.
A lot of them aren't dads, but yet watching them, they all kind of became a dad that night.
Fire Chief Mark Little says it was an emotional experience for his team. When the newborn was left inside, an alarm went off, notifying firefighters. Little says they retrieved her within a minute. She was then taken to a hospital for medical evaluation and will soon be placed with adoptive parents, which Kelsey says wouldn't have been possible without the child's mother.
This parent chose a loving, safe, legal, and anonymous option to keep her child safe, and so we're so thankful that she did that.
And hope other parents do the same. In Louisville, Alexis Jones, WHAS 11 on your side.
If you want to adopt or find a safe place for your baby, call the Safe Haven Baby Box hotline. It is 1-866-99-BABY.
So we just kind of wanted to show you that video real quick, kind of let you actually get eyes on what a baby box looks like and understand, it has worked already. In Louisville, we had one that's just gotten placed in Danville, and then so we'll go in. There's actually been there's 19 active Safe Haven boxes in Kentucky as of August 2023. To date, 3 babies have been surrendered in Safe Haven boxes this year. The children are taken immediately to hospitals for a medical evaluation. We do contact DCBS to let them know it starts the foster care system. That way the kid can get placed. That's why we actually started talking about this. Myself and Rick Frank started talking about this months ago, and it's close home for me. My wife and I actually are foster parents. We foster to adopt, and so this was something that Rick started talking about, and I was like, man, let's get this going. And so when a parent makes a difficult decision to surrender a child, this is a safe environment. It gives 24-hour staffing for us to be able to help get them to a medical facility, get them checked out, get them in the foster care system, the right hands, and it takes that obligation off those parents. For us, this opportunity, like I said, we started talking about it, and we were like, we don't have the funding, we don't know how to get into it. Maybe this is something that's a 3-year project to get into New Fire Station 1, but we're so blessed that we've actually talked the generosity of John Suffin and Capital City Christian Church that now has come full circle, and we're ready to get this done. And we're looking to see that this is a prime location at Station 2 on Home Street. It's right there. It's a great location. It's quick in and out. It's right on street access. It's downtown. It's a direct hub. Come straight in Louisville Hill. You can come in off of Georgetown locations, Versailles Road, Wilkinson, all that area, just right there downtown. It's a great location for us. So we're pretty excited about it. The funding's there. It's been started. So we're thrilled. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited.
Okay, Commissioner Waters.
That's pretty much it. If y'all have questions, we're ready for
Well,
them.
and Mr. Sutphin is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the generosity and for your,
Yeah, it's Capital City Christian Church. I just happen to be the executive minister.
You can come out.
you want to come to, yeah.
Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you guys, and appreciate it.
No,
And,
thank you
thanks,
so much.
Chief. Again, it's Capital City Christian Church. I just happen to be the minister that's connected with it, so my name, I appreciate you putting my name in there, but it's really the church. This became a passion of ours when Roe v. Wade got overturned a couple years ago. Mayor, you remember, Patricia, I think a few of you other commissioners I emailed about this back last summer, and so we're just thrilled to death that this is an opportunity. Our church is willing to fund it, but we've got to get y'all's permission, got to get y'all to sign off on it because the city is going to be the one who owns it. But the church is ready. I've talked to a gentleman in our church that's a licensed contractor. He's ready to come, knock a hole in the wall, and put it in place. It's going to take, I think, 6 to 8 weeks to get it ordered and get it on site. But as soon as you guys sign off on it, give us the approval, we're ready to go. And we're excited to have this opportunity to share with you guys in our community.
Thank you. And Commissioner Thompson.
I would just like to say, as an adopted kid and someone who was born to a teenage mother unexpectedly, that I genuinely appreciate the excited attitude that you all have. John, I want to thank you all at Capital City and what you all mean to me and my family, and also what this particular thing means to me personally. So I mean, I could speak for a lot of people, but I feel like I just want to say thanks from me. And so I know this is putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to being the help that somebody may need in a very dark hour. And I commend all of you, especially you firefighters, and of course my friends and family at Capital City.
Commissioner Waters.
Yes, so I just want to say thank you guys for continuing to push this forward. Thank you, John. I know that we spoke several times, and it is near and dear to my heart as I'm a foster child as well, and given an option for a child to be in a safe place and have a safe home is what we all want as loving people. And there are people that can't have children that are just looking for a baby to take care of. And so I appreciate that opportunity. And I know that we brought this up a few years ago when John brought it to us. And we also, I just want to make very clear that we're putting this in and they're paying for this one, but we also requested for this to also be a part of our new fire department, our new fire station that we're building. So hopefully we'll end up having 2 in Franklin County eventually, and that should be put in that design for that. I know that's something that we showed. So I appreciate it, near and dear to my heart as well. And just thank you for continuing and this going around, and thank you guys for working with them. And thank you to Capital City, and just such a loving church family. So thank you so much.
We're honored.
Thanks for sticking with us.
No problem.
Keeping it in front of us.
So,
We have a
I
lot
got
of
a few
things
other things I'll
right.
keep bringing back to you.
Now you can move on to the next thing once we get this. Yeah, Commissioner Waters.
Mayor, I would just like to go ahead and make a motion for them to be able to move forward. And so we don't have to wait a minute more, or does this need to be written up as an ordinance, or?
I actually do have the contract that
Okay.
I just got, thank you, Johnny, and am reviewing it.
Okay.
And I don't anticipate any issues, but I would like to be able to review it
Okay.
before we vote.
Okay, that's fine. We could do that.
We could have
on the
it
next
regular
meeting.
But the
Just don't
regular
wanna
meeting-
hold it. If he's ready to put a hole in the wall, let's put a hole in the wall.
Can you take a 5-minute recess?
I know, right?
I wish I could move that fast.
Can
It's
we
worth a shot.
move it
Give her
upon-
10 minutes. Give her 10. Right? Potty breakers on.
But surely October.
So 2 more
There we go.
weeks, so we have a meeting
No,
in
that's-
2 weeks,
no,
so it'll be on there.
I understand. Completely
I
understand.
just was ready to get
No,
ahead.
right there with you. So I got a sledgehammer ready.
But yes, thank you guys.
Attorneys, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your help. Any other?
Thank you.
We good? Appreciate the presentation.
Fast pace.
And now we'll move on to discussion items.
First, we have flock cameras, Chief Dusty Bowman.
Afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, All right, so we're here again talking about flock, trying to put the final touches and get the. It's a new idea, I know. But I presented with you all. I had waiting for you all some ideas, and what I'd really like to do between now and hopefully a chance to vote on this is sit down with each of you all to look at the crime maps I've provided to you all tonight, showing kind of the idea of what Flock was looking at when we sent them the information and locations of our highest area of crimes when it comes to auto thefts, when it comes to larcenies, assaults, different things that they took into consideration, and show you the proposed maps that they have. That way you can see the comparison and how we targeted what roadways, not specific neighborhoods or anything like that as we've discussed before, but simply for the heavier traveled highways and stuff that run through our city. So, you know, there hasn't been a lot changed. There was some confusion, and I guess in a change in leadership for this area. When we put it up for bid, as we had discussed, we actually received no bids, and that's because they had a change in representation here in the area. They are providing me with a letter of explanation, but all of their specifications and all the stuff that they had presented before matches almost ideally to what the bid process was. And secondly, they are actually a sole source provider. So we actually did the bid process more as a, I guess, to provide and show that we're looking at other opportunities and other companies that may come around, but no others offered their services. So we look to pursue purchasing, and once again, we still have a 10 and a 20 camera plan. Pricing still the same. They haven't done anything with it. There will be the $650 one-time installation and setup fee on each camera, and then I think it was going to be for the 10 cameras, $30,000 plus the $6,500, and then $60,000 and $13,000 on the initial setup for the 20. And just as a reminder, we are utilizing the funds here initially out of asset forfeiture and the E911 fund. It's going to be a 50-50 split. And I guess besides anything else, is there any questions you all have moving forward, or anything else you all want to see in the next couple of weeks, hopefully?
Any time frame at this point?
I would, as far as purchase, I would like to get approval hopefully as early as next session, if possible, to vote on that. Now, it will take some time to get the installation, because once we sign the contract with them, they will need approval from Department of Transportation with the city for the locations based on the property owners of those spots.
Lisa, Commissioner Unger.
I had a couple questions, and I don't know if I've asked this before, but are there already flock cameras installed that maybe the state has in Franklin County, or would this be like the first time there's a flock camera
There
installed?
is one flock camera system at, I'm wanting to say it's a hotel parking lot here in town. It's either a hotel or it's a yeah, it's either one of their parking lots or an apartment complex parking lot. But we would be the main entity for ours.
Any other questions, discussion for Chief Bowman? None?
I guess I've got another question.
Okay, Commissioner.
That's okay. So I was wondering, is there other technology that there's a plan to move towards in the future beyond Flock? I guess I don't know a lot about what our department's currently using. Like, do we have license plate readers that we're using at all now?
No.
On vehicles? Nowhere?
No.
Okay.
No, and the purpose of this, for my purpose, is we are not looking to move to any vehicles or any automated license plate readers. As far as this goes, for our officers to know, there's 2 or 3 tiers of protection, but to even review a plate, it has to go through steps of approval through a supervisor to gain that.
Right.
So it's not like if something pops up, it automatically gives you, it's not live action cameras, it's nothing to that extent. If a plate pops up on one of the cameras, it's on a hot list for us or for any other agency, the officer has to run that plate to even determine whose vehicle it is. So that information doesn't automatically feed to the officers.
Okay, and I know that that was, a concern for some citizens when I went to the Flock
Yes.
community meeting, which I thought was great, and there were really good turnouts. I think one of the concerns came down to policy, and that the fact that that would fall back on the Board of Commissioners to sort of have control of what that policy is and what maybe, I'm not saying there would ever be a misuse, but I think that was part of a concern that I heard a lot of. What does that look like if there was some sort of issue that arose? So.
Well, those meetings were excellent, you're right. And in fact, we took a couple recommendations from the community, and I know we presented to Ms. Ross to look at converting that policy into an ordinance so that we just can't make any type of changes we want. It would be something we'd have to come to you all for review. So, that was one of the things I felt like kind of gave some assurance to a couples that had the couple individuals that had that question. And once again, we're doing this as a way to find new tools to utilize to make the city safer and make us work more efficiently, which doing that provides more service and more coverage to the city.
Right, and I know they really appreciated that communication with you, so thank you.
Commissioner Thompson.
Help me here, and maybe City Attorney Ross could help me as well. What's a potential misuse of the camera? How could these be misused, or what's the concern?
Well, a lot of and the reason the request for the difference between the policy and the ordinance was that although there may be a lot of trust that falls in me in handling this program, my predecessor or anybody else might decide to change the policy to do whatever they want with it. So that was where a lot of the concern is. Some of the examples that's been used for the misuse is, I know there was some other forms of license plate readers to which individuals utilize that information off plates to as bribery or as blackmail and different things like that. The issue is
from the police department?
Not from us, from other agencies.
But from other agencies?
Yes.
As some form of heavy-handedness to get them to admit to some other crime or something of that nature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was used. One of the examples that was sent to us was an officer, I think it was Baltimore or Washington, that utilized it in a high concentrated homosexual area where there was bars and stuff, and were blackmailing politicians and stuff who may go to those areas.
Okay. Well, obviously that's a civil rights violation.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about a system that was used to track down Caleb Conley's murderer within minutes.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, anything that you all do as police officers, there has to be sworn trust with you guys. So, even when you go in and, there are certain tools you have even investigating people that you're allowed to use under the law. But, anybody can use any tool that would be, for an inappropriate purpose. But I guess from a commissioner standpoint and a citizen standpoint, we just don't have enough police officers right now. But if one of you was hurt and we didn't have this system up, and I had to go to one of your wives or husbands and say we weren't able to catch the person, I'd feel worse about that than the potential that somebody could do this wrong. And that I think is the real answer here. And I don't think we're treading on civil rights. This is not a situation where you're picking up biometrics and things of that nature, and you're looking to see the temperature inside the car and whether there's pot smoke, inside. Right. You're looking at a license plate that's a
well, even so, I know there's concern for whole movement, surveillance and that stuff. We do live in a small community, but 10 to 20 cameras, when you really look at it, you can't track anyone's whole movements. There's so many different ins and outs of this town, especially considering we're not looking at targeting neighborhoods. We're not looking at targeting specific businesses and things like that. We're focused on heavier drawn and heavier trafficked roadways. So I believe, I don't think we're treading on anything with that. I understand the concerns and appreciate the concerns, but that's another reason why we went back and adjusted our policy with several steps of protection to prevent any type of misuse, and an auditing system. I mean, we mirrored ours almost exactly, all the parts that applied to Frankfort versus Lexington, we mirrored our policy off of that, and I know they were heavily involved with the ACLU in reviewing and developing that policy. So I feel pretty comfortable we're presenting something, especially if it's placed as an ordinance, that really adds that extra protection for the community.
Thank you.
Sir.
So when we do vote on the funding of this, we'll also have the ordinance at the same time. Do we feel good about that timeline? Or do we, well, we'll see. I won't put you on the spot, but that would be
Yes,
our
sir.
expectation, so.
Yes, sir.
We'll see
I do
where we
believe.
stand at the, any other questions or discussion? All right. Thank you, Chief, once again.
Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all.
Oh, and happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You're 50, right?
Oh.
Yes.
May I make a motion this time to remove discussion item number 2 off of the agenda until Attorney Ross and I can talk further about, I talked to one of
Is
the
there
experts today.
any objection to that?
I'll second if
No.
you'd like a second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank you all.
We'll take that off. All right, discussion item number 3, Frankfort Flag Initiative.
Yeah, Frankfort Flag Initiative, we have Tom back with us. You guys have any questions on the Frankfort flag?
I guess, is this something that was brought up during citizens' comments last time? And I know everybody's probably received an email. Is this something that we'd want to discuss tonight or direct staff to look into further?
I think that we just direct staff and look into it further. I think that it was a great idea when he presented it the last time. I looked over the information that he sent here recently that we got, and I think that we just direct staff moving forward and maybe have, you hate to say another committee, but maybe a small group with people that are interested, maybe even from the community, and people that would have, I know he'd gone over some guidelines that may know those guidelines a little bit better than some of us, but I would love to be able to move forward with it and help with our branding of Frankfort and as a city and as a capital city, and have something that is us and continue to move forward so we can have shirts and paraphernalia. Memorabilia. All of that. Sweatwear. Swag, there you go.
Merch.
Whatever those kids use nowadays.
Merch.
But yes, I would like to, and I hope everyone else would do it, but I think at least that's a comment as well.
Commissioner Unger.
Yeah, I'm supportive of as well. I know that I talked to Tom after his last citizens comments, and I think he's got a good plan. He did send us a sort of like a draft timeline, and I know he's talked to Dr. Ellie about sort of working together as well. So I think the goal, for Tom is to reduce staff time on this, and I'd just like to see where it takes us and see what we end up with.
I appreciate all the information. I'm glad somebody out there cares about this, and it's worth looking into.
Do we agree for him to be on the committee and one of the leads on the committee?
Well, I guess,
Can we at least
is
do
that
that?
something I think we let city manager.
Let's say yes on that.
He would be a natural if you asked me.
I know, but I just don't want to say, well, that wasn't
No,
voted on.
I think that makes sense.
Just a consensus would be great.
Sure, come on. Tom Farmer, if you want to state your name.
Very quick, just to solidify things. Tom Farmer, Frankfort Flag Initiative. And yes, since this is more of a citizen-driven movement, we don't necessarily need you to pass an ordinance forming a committee or a task group or anything like that. I'm a very meticulous person. I just wanted to make sure y'all were comfortable with it. But I'll work with Jason and then work with Dr. Haskin-Wagner and run this independently. And I plan on being the chairperson of the informal task group. So that's it. Thank you.
I did like, by the way, the fourth point you said that it was a jumpstart for opinions from K through 12 students as a civics exercise. I have a 7th grader and an 8th grader. They probably spend all night coming up with like different stuff with like ninjas on it and all sorts of stuff. So
I think that's a good springboard. I want to start in the school systems, and also KSU is going to be a very good component. In terms of a task force member or group member, more than likely aim at a secondary school or a high school student and college students. But yes, I plan on approaching all the school systems and getting students involved in their art and social studies classes. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Any other discussion? If not, we'll move on to action items.
All right, first we have medical insurance options with Wayne Willis with Assured Partners and Kathy Fields, HR Director.
Good evening. I'd like to just do a quick introduction. Wayne Willis serves as the Executive Vice President of Assured Partners, and Assured Partners is our insurance broker. They provide us with advisory information as we make decisions. And before Wayne launches into the presentation, I just wanted to discuss the timing a bit because we're under somewhat of tight time constraints. In recent years, a lot of the, Wayne, I jumped ahead one, but a lot of the insurance carriers don't want to provide quotes until they have 9 months worth of data. So we've just barely made it through September, and we really weren't able to receive pricing from the big insurance carriers that we're looking at with medical, because as you know, Humana opted out for next year. So therefore, that pushes us into kind of tight timing to make decisions as we go into open enrollment. We haven't announced open enrollment to our employees yet because we kind of want to have our benefits for 2024 buttoned down before we do that. So we've recently received our quotes. We've reviewed this, and Wayne is going to present on it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I mentioned to Kathy when I knew I'd be coming back up here to talk to everybody, I was hoping we wouldn't be in a position where we had to make another change. Because a year ago we made the change from Anthem, and the cost got too prohibitive for the city, and the recommendation was to go to Humana. And of course, you're not anticipating that in February Humana would pull out of the commercial market, so it put us back in a little bit different situation. But we do have a very good alternative that'll keep costs level. Actually, it's going to save the city some money with the potential for increased savings. This particular slide that's in the packet in the presentation just breaks down costs for the city since 2016. Shows the average number of employees, total number of members. You'll see medical claims, pharmacy claims, a total. That spec reimbursement, because the city is self-funded, anything that went over $100,000 stop loss limit, those are amounts that were reimbursed back to the city. And I really just wanted to point out the rise in claims in post-COVID 2021, 2022. We started to see this occur with a group, and it's occurring with a lot of groups. It was a post-COVID kind of meltdown of claims with a lot of different circumstances and situations that led to it. But this particular group, you can see that it spiked heavily in 2021, 2022. It has stabilized somewhat in 2023, and we anticipate it continuing to go down. And we could put some cost mitigation in there, with especially cost containment regarding RX, which is a huge, huge issue right now, not only for the city of Frankfort, but for every group that I talk to. So I'll show you what we're going to do there. This just takes the same information you saw here and puts it in bar graph form.
Actually, if I could jump in, I do want to add that this is our information based on fiscal year, and it's our collective benefits information. So the earlier slide is really medical only. So if you're studying the numbers, you'll see that there's a little bit of a disconnect with the numbers, because this is fiscal year, not calendar year. This is all our benefits, not medical. And the earlier slide was medical only.
So a year ago, I stood here and we made the recommendation to move the city of Frankfort to Humana for medical and RX due to just a steep increase that we saw from Anthem regarding stop loss and administrative costs. And then obviously Humana makes a surprise announcement in February that they're pulling out of the commercial market. So that mandated that we needed to go back out to market for 24. We went to every available market that was in Kentucky. Cigna and Aetna were not competitive. Anthem did provide a competitive option to get you back, but not as competitive as UMR, United Healthcare. The reason I have it broken down that way, UMR is the third-party administrator arm of United Healthcare. That's who they own, that processes claims for self-funded groups. So that's why you see it that way. Their competitive option, coupled with a carve-out solution for the prescriptions, and a very good stop-loss renewal, is a projected decrease of about almost 1.8%, which is approximately $55,000 versus the current expected cost for the city of Frankfort, with no change in benefits other than there is an IRS mandate for 2024 regarding the high deductible health plan, and the embedded deductible has to go from the current level of $3,000 to $3,200, and that's just an IRS mandate regarding high deductible health plans. I don't know why they're doing that. They've had maxes for years, but they're increasing those. I guess they feel like people have built up balances in HSAs across the country. So, in bold, I did want to highlight this. So RX spend for the city of Frankfort is up 27% year over year. So the amount of dollars being paid out on RX benefits, so prescription benefits, is just short of $800,000 over the last 12 months compared to $625,000 the year prior. And so part of that cost shift is to change copay structure on the PPO plans, but not too penal to the employees and their members. This is a $5 increase per tier. So today it's 10, 25, and 40. It'll go to 15, 30, 45. There is a fourth tier, which is 25%, which is specialty medications. It has a current maximum of $100. The new max would be $150. That particular tier is where groups are getting destroyed on cost. Specialty medications are driving this for all groups. Again, there's another 400 plus new medications that are going to get FDA approval in the next 18 months. They're going to come down the line and get out into the market. So we're trying to get out in front of that as much as we can to help control that cost. There are multiple different ways you can carve out the prescription benefits for groups that are self-funded, and we looked at several different ones, and they range in savings from a projected $125,000 up to $350,000 conservatively. I've plugged in a number that's in between those two from a conservative nature, but I think you'll see actual results exceed that. Anthem won't allow, and so I know one of the questions would Anthem allow the same thing? Because of your group size, they will not allow a PBM carve-out, prescription carve-out. Now here's the easy part. So the dental, vision, life, voluntary life, disability, and retiree life are all exactly the same. They're in rate hold, so there's no change in benefits, no change in cost for the city. So the proposed increase to employee amounts is 10%. This shows based on current enrollment. Now I have to caveat that. So if we do get some enrollment shifts, those totals you see to the right-hand side would change. Meaning as we go through open enrollment, if an employee decides to go from the core to the buy-up or the buy-up to the core or to the HSA plan, that could shift the actual net increase in employee contributions back to the city. But just a snapshot picture today using the current enrollment by plan, by tier, that's what that would yield. Okay. This is a program that you'll be able to add with United Healthcare and UMR. This is an Assured Partners program called Assured Excellence. There's no cost to the city unless an employee actually engages in it, but it is a bundled payment program where the employee gets the services at nationally recognized Center of Excellence facilities if they choose to do that. And the city pays a discount anywhere from 20 to 60% depending on the procedure, and the employee gets it at no cost. So the net result is, and this is something new that's coming, we grew this about 5 years ago. Anthem, for whatever reason, will not allow this. They're very protective of their provider discounts. I think eventually they will acquiesce and we'll see them do this. Humana would never have allowed it, but UMR and United Healthcare do allow this. And there's no mandatory requirement that employees do it. It's just a new program you'll have available to them, and they can take advantage if they want to. TrueRx is the name of the recommended PBM. They are 100% pass-through transparent arrangement, and what that means to the city is that you're going to pay the lowest gross cost, and then you're also going to get 100% of the rebates, the manufacturer's rebates that are eligible for you to come back to the city. And you can see the options down there on the bottom right-hand side. It shows total net savings ranging anywhere from $280,000 to $880,000. I do want to caution you, we have discussed what the far right one means. It would mean a lot more disruption to the members, so we're not doing that. We're going to put a plan in place that will have very little disruption to the employees regarding the prescriptions that are being utilized.
I just wanted to jump in because Wayne was talking about those pharmacy rebates, and they're pretty significant for our cost management. Anthem has started giving partial rebates to us, but this, we're hopeful, will at least change the trend that we're seeing, where since I think like 2019, we just keep creeping up and up and up to where we're actually not even staying within our budget. So we feel like we've got a really viable chance of staying within our budget and maybe even a decent bit below it. But this is a big piece. And back to the recommendation with United Healthcare versus Anthem. Anthem, they just don't give the RX rebates the way that we could potentially get them.
The way that they make money on you is through the pharmacy piece. They're not making any money on administering your claims. So that's one of the reasons why they don't allow carve-outs on groups the city of Frankfort says.
It's my understanding that especially drugs like semaglutides are up like 2,000% or something. So is there, and I also know that what you mentioned with the FDA is about to release other options with regard to those particular types of drugs. Do we see anything on the horizon that looks like those prices are going to come down for those? I mean, we have an aging population that deals with diabetes and things of this nature. But I also know that particular medication is being used for all sorts of things, including weight loss and other things. But I know that I saw something from Johns Hopkins saying that it can be used for dementia and arthritis and all sorts of crazy stuff, and it's been out forever. But I just wondered if you saw something on the horizon that's going to make those specialty drugs.
What we're hopeful is obviously competition drives the market, and I think that the more, like it's a catch-22, right? Because there's so many new drugs that are coming, but hopefully that will drive the prices down on some of the other ones. And as patents get lost on name brand drugs and they fall into the generic category, that'll free up some of the pricing. The short answer to that is no. This is the biggest piece that companies are dealing with right now regarding their medical spend on their benefits. It's to say it's out of control, I think would probably be too excessive, but the market has just been infiltrated with high-cost name brand drugs. And if you think about every single TV show that you watch, you're seeing commercials naming all of these drugs, and these are the drugs that are popping up on every single group's list. The hot button topic right now is drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro, which are for diabetes, but actually have a side effect of weight loss. And so that's a hot button topic right now. And there are drugs, Wegovy is a weight loss equivalent. Mounjaro is the manufacturer of Mounjaro is actually releasing a new drug that will be for weight loss, but conveniently will have the same side effect of lowering your A1C level because it's going to be the exact same medication. So,
I'm sorry, I've been following.
But that's what we're playing with right now in this, and it's kind of the RX world's a little bit of the wild, wild west. It's I've been doing this for 22 years. This is the craziest last 12 to 18 months I've seen, and it's not going to be any different going forward. There's going to be more of it coming, but that's why we want to try to get out and control as much as we can. TrueRx, again, this is the PBM. This is just an example. So what I wanted to show you is there's currently a medication being dispensed and utilized within the population here called Tesfidera. And it was costing the city an average of $8,000 per prescription. That program will allow that drug to go to the member at no cost, and the city will get it at $4,500. So this is just an example of one drug and the potential cost savings that exist. These types of examples will escalate. There'll be more and more of them, and you'll be able to continue to take advantage of them. And we'll always direct communication pieces and customize them based on utilization within the group, instead of just throwing a master list of medications out there. It'll be specific and catered to the group. I added this slide because I think this is something that we need to at least analyze and evaluate going forward. Blue Mine is a direct primary care on near site, share site clinic model. There's not currently a location in Frankfort, but there's a groundswell of momentum for them to build a location here, and potentially the city and other employers here could utilize this. The cost here is a per employee per month. We can dive into this at a later date. But what this does is this list of services, and then basically the way you promote this to your employees is they get primary care at no cost, and the back-end savings to the city is significant. But it's going to take a number of employers for this to build. So I think if this facility location does get built here, then you have one. But you can actually access any of them in the state. The closest will be Lexington from here, but they're going to continue to grow this model. So the recommendations are to move the medical plan from Humana to UMR, United Healthcare. And then carve out the PBM to TrueRx, increase medical premiums for employees by 10%. With RX costs, again, going up 27% year over year and no end in sight on that. The proposed RX copay structure change for The two PPO plans would be to go to 15, 30, 45, 25% with a max of 150. The IRS mandate on the high deductible health plan, which is the plan that has the health savings account capability, would go from a $3,000 single deductible, $6,000 family, up $200 to $3,200 and $6,400. That keeps the continuity of the plan. Most deductibles are 2 times the single amount. We would add Assured Excellence Program, which is the bundle payment program that provides Center of Excellence capabilities for any of your members. Discontinue secondary spousal coverage, which you have today, and I don't think you have very many people utilizing this. And they're paying additional premiums when there's 2 employers working. You do have a working spouse exclusion in your policy, and I think that the idea is to be a little more vigilant to make sure that there's not much of that going on. Again, carve out the PBM. Again, projected savings 125 to 350. I'm projecting somewhere in the middle of that from a conservative nature. What we would do is also grandfather continuation of coverage on any medications that people currently have, so that there's no loss of that medication come January 1st. And then the last point, just continue that evaluation of Blue Mind. So if they do open a location here, I think it's something we should at least consider. Any questions? I know that's a lot, and it's very exciting stuff.
Kathy, will that secondary spousal coverage, how many employees would that affect if we drop that? And do they have an option somewhere else?
It's actually really hard for us to tell because we go through open enrollment electronically, and so not everybody may indicate if they have other coverage, but we think it's fewer than half a dozen. And the thing I want to emphasize with that is you can only receive coverage up to the amount that your plan would provide. So if they have coverage with another employer that pays up to 80%, and then they take coverage with us that pays up to 80%, they're paying again a premium to get absolutely no more coverage. So, and I don't know that that's well understood. It's very, I think it's less than, it's like a handful of people that appear maybe they're taking this. But they may not even realize themselves that they're probably overpaying. Did that answer the question? Yes.
Any other discussion, Commissioner Thompson?
I'm sorry to ask, but am I missing is there something in here that explains the difference between the buy-up and the standard?
The buy-up plan has a lower deductible of $500, and then it's a 90/10. So after that deductible is met, then insurance is covering 90%, and the employee covers 10%. Okay. The core plan is an 80/20 plan with a $750 deductible. So there's just a little bit of difference between how they're structured, and so the richer the coverage, the higher the premiums.
Sorry, I'm sure he said that. I was trying to take so many notes. I apologize.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendations as presented.
I'll so move.
Second.
All right. Is there any other discussion or questions since we have them here? Commissioner Waters.
Can we go back over the spouses part that we just discussed, like a little bit of understanding? Is that spouses that both work for the city? That's it, not the spouses of just one, like let's say we have someone that works in sewer and his wife works for the state. It doesn't affect that if she wants to be on the city or because she can get.
I'll try to explain it. So okay. Shortly before I started working, the city adopted a spousal exclusion. So if a spouse was employed and had ACA affordable coverage, so it met the standard of affordability, then the spouse was required to take the coverage through his or her employer and not through the city of Frankfort. We tend to have very competitive premiums and rich benefits, but it's a conscious decision to have employers be responsible for the benefits of their employees versus the city taking on the coverage and cost. So that's been in existence for over 10 years. And at that same time, this provision for secondary coverage existed, I think, as maybe kind of an ease-in into having a secondary coverage exclusion. And secondary coverage would just mean that this person who has coverage through his or her employer can have coverage with the city if the other coverage is primary. So everything runs through their employer's insurance first, and then ours would maybe pick up some extra. So an example where that could work is if they have an 80% paid plan with their employer, and they pick up the buy-up plan, our richest coverage, which is a 90% plan. So that would cover another 10% of claims. But that is our richest plan. It's our most expensive one, and so I would still submit that probably what they would pick up is unlikely to really be that great of a value considering what they'd be paying in their premiums.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Everybody feeling good? Questions, discussion? If not, ask the clerk to call for the vote.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Unger?
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Yes, and that motion carries. Thank you so much, Wayne.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Next action item.
Next, we have a second reading.
An ordinance adopting a new section of Chapter 37 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances regarding police accelerated candidate appointment compensation. This ordinance creates a new section of City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Chapter 37, the salary ordinance, to provide for compensation for accelerated police officer candidates based on years of service and conditional upon a 3-year service contract with the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion, Commissioner May, second, Commissioner Unger. Any discussion or questions? Nope. All right, I'll ask the clerk to call for a vote.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Unger?
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Yes, motion carries. And that's it for action items, and we'll move on to the discussion of the voting meeting tentative agenda.
Can we get an update on the old YMCA? Where we're at? I know that we had a discussion and there was some back and forth, just a snippet of that. It may not need to be on the agenda maybe, but maybe if we could get an update before the next agenda on
Okay.
where we are. I know there were some things that needed to be followed up on, but I just want to know what we're doing with this building so we can move forward.
So not on the agenda.
Unless, I don't know where we're at for it to be on the agenda per se, since it's a
Okay.
legal issue. So I can't say, if so, it may need to be a closed session.
Okay. If it's okay,
So-
I will look into that, kind of see where we are and give you guys.
Because it really depends on if it's on the agenda or.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
And also have baby box and maybe fly. Any other?
The budget and the approval of that. Because like the mayor said, it's two different things. You're gonna approve the budget to pay for it, and then the ordinance part that Laura's gonna work on. So it would be in two different, both of those to be on the same day.
Other things to be determined? Any unfinished business? Commissioner?
I wanted to bring up Capitol Avenue. I know we talked to KYTC about some changes there, and there's a lot of streets where we've had discussions with KYTC. I did receive a letter from the South Frankfort Neighborhood Association in support of some changes on Capitol Avenue, just because, you know, there's a daycare there, mom's car door was hit last year, and just, I think they would like to see speed reduced and just some stop signs, that sort of thing. So just wondering where we are.
Let's see where they stand.
Yep, thank you.
Would it be possible, Mayor, to have a representative from KYTC to just, I mean, I know that may be asking a lot,
Sounds
but I think we just have a number of places that it seems have popped up now that we have so many things going on with our roadways that maybe it's time to just have a robust discussion about what the plans are, and maybe they'll be able to enlighten us and we can enlighten others then.
I'm sure that's possible, right? We'll ask, for sure.
Right.
We'll ask.
I would like Secretary Gray to appear. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Secretary Gray. If you're listening.
Any other unfinished? If not, we'll new business. Commissioner Waldridge.
New business, I think here lately, we've had a lot of postings for jobs for the city, reposting of jobs that are already budgeted. However, I think looking at that, I know that we're putting them out there. People are applying, However, I know that we don't have to hire if we're not ready to hire at the moment. And I just would like to bring it to the attention, of the board, that moving forward, we have 2 new city managers that are starting, and just a new different direction for our city. And I think we need to take in consideration of using this opportunity with some of these open positions to look at restructuring or utilizing some of our staff that we already have, so we could save money, but also utilize staff that we have to be able to do the work that we're asking for, such as the communications. I know that it's not been posted yet, which is a good thing, but we have capable staff, and then looking into maybe contracting some things out would be great. But I think that I would almost see like a hiring freeze on some of these where we're not going to hire right away, to be sort of implemented until both city managers come in and are able to assess where we're at, where we can save money, because it's been stated in our past few meetings that our savings is really going to be coming from the employee side. So instead of looking to rid of staff, what we need to do is look at, do we have to replace staff that leave or retire? And what does that look like for other staff? IT, we're down to 2 people now. Instead of hiring another position, do we do bumps and give them different, responsibilities in that area? What does that look like for IT and the future of IT in our? It opens up for us to be able to look at things a little bit differently and maybe be able to save in that area.
Commissioner, would you entertain a question?
Sure.
As long as we're all on the same page that any type of, even if we euphemistically call it a hiring freeze, it in no way affects the ability to hire law enforcement and
correct
and fire.
The much needed positions. Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Things that affect public safety.
You got it. Yeah. You're correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because
no, that would would be on the positions
I don't want
that
Dusty
were
to have a heart attack back there. So.
No, I think I discussed it with him, but no, it would just be on those positions of people that are retiring in these positions for us to look at with these new city managers coming in. And then I guess to piggyback on that, I would like us to entertain a strategic planning session. I know we had one maybe a year and a half ago. I can't remember that date, but it happened over at the museum. Most of us were present for that. I think that now would be a good opportunity for us to sort of sit down and have sort of a same strategic planning with these 2 city managers coming in, as well as all of the directors, and be able to discuss and what this looks like. Could we restructure some things? How do we divide this city manager position? And how are the directors wanting to work with these 2 city managers in our new city government and moving in this new direction with the city, since we will have 2. And I think it would be great to involve all the directors in this process. We are a team, and we're trying something new with 2 city managers. And I think it'd be a great time to bring all of our directors and department heads together and let them speak on maybe some of their opinions and their experiences in their departments and how they would like to restructure some things or sort of lead, I guess, in our community. So I'd like us to take in consideration of when we can do that very soon, since we have, I think our other city manager, I believe, starts tomorrow, I believe. Yep. So if we could set a time where all of us are available and the directors are just to be able to discuss that and what that looks like and meet and greet and what is the future focus of Frankfort with 2 city managers and how that looks, so we can present something to the community for them to understand that we have 2 city managers.
We need to clarify, it's a city manager and an assistant.
Yes, assistant city manager, yes. That's
and we did that strategic planning session in February, I think.
I think you're right.
This year.
That was about it, yeah. So I just think that it's something that we need to look into now and redo. And it's not a huge strategic planning as that. It would just be based on the city manager and the assistant city manager positions and their responsibilities and the direction of the city they foresee us going, and what the directors, the lead directors of our departments, where they see us going and how we can all work together. Yes, did I say that appropriately?
Absolutely. Already things I've been thinking about whenever Mr. Hartley starts tomorrow. We're going to hit the ground running. We've got several things to look into, several ideas to bounce off each other. I've already been in communication with him a little bit, so we should have a pretty good working relationship. It seems like this might actually work.
We're not going to say might. It's going to work. It's going to work. Great things. And I know I've already had a couple of communication conversations with you, and I appreciate that. And I'm excited, but I just think that if we could look at something like that pretty soon,
Mhm.
I would really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Strategic planning session. Any other new business? Commissioner Thompson.
May we have an update, if there is one now, or at least one discussing KCDC, the future of that particular organization, Downtown Frankfort Inc., and the Main Street program, the need for a Main Street program. I think all those kind of go in, that may need to happen after the strategic plan. I don't know, but, and after everybody gets acclimated. Yeah, but I think, I know there was some action taken last week, and I want to make sure that we have a plan, and maybe that will be a discussion you have with each of us to discuss that. But
I guess, right, our funding of those organizations.
Right.
No, I'm happy to. We'll
And
put
that
on.
goes to
It's
what
more of a
Commissioner
discussion.
Waldridge just said about potentially restructuring, funding that we were giving towards those organizations. Maybe that's in-house, maybe that's a dual role with the county or something of that nature. Not merging, we're just talking about utilizing resources. So, I mean, I think that's where all Frankfort County is here, so.
Any other?
I don't think I have a new one, but I just want to say thank you to everyone that worked on Home Street and getting it done.
Oh,
it looks
man, yes.
amazing. And I did not bring that up earlier, but Home Street is great. I'm glad that the community is happy and we're able to drive down without losing a lug nut or two or the back
Filling.
seat or two. So. I'm glad we can protect our cars in Frankfort and those folks down there. So it looks great. So thank you for everyone that put in a call, had meetings with transportation and all those, our senators and representatives and everything else.
Shout out to Chris Mays and his group.
And Chris Mays, yes.
Any other new business? If none?
Your Honor.
Your
Sorry.
No, not quite.
You'll take it, right?
Oh.
Mayor,
I don't know.
I'd like to move at this time to go into executive session per KRS 61-810, subsection 1, subsection C, litigation, proposed litigation on behalf of the City of Frankfort related to the downtown TIF and master development agreement. Action may be taken in open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. If not, okay. We're now in executive session. Thank you all. We're now in open session, and no action will be taken at this time.
Yeah.
Commissioner Warren?
I just wanted to bring up that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
Yes.
and I hope that women and men go out and have their exams, as mine is scheduled, and I just persuade everyone else to do that as well. So please pay into, maybe Real Men Wear Pink, American Cancer Society, but please go get your screenings. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.